I think Jake Paul should never be considered a boxer. I think that has distilled the sport. Oh, big style. He isn't a boxer. He's a YouTube guy. In the days when, managers, promoters, coaches, boxers were real boxing people. They lived the sport, they lived for it.
Welcome back to Mulligan Brothers. Today's video, as always, was sponsored by Hule. I'm drinking Hule Black Edition, which has 26 vitamins and minerals, 35 grams of protein and slow release carbs to make sure that I can stay satiated and proteined up whilst I make these documentaries. If you want to find out more about these, go to the link in the description. I'll talk about them a little bit later on in the video. You know, the UFC, I would say, leans closer to the WWE or the wrestling. And I see in there's guys like Alex Pereira who are solely focused on that respect of the art of fighting, and he's getting a big following now from that. And I think there are people coming back to that side of like, it's about the fighting, it's about the respect. So I think hopefully it does come back to that, or at least there starts to be this sort of group of people who like that and enjoy it. I think there already is, but it'd be nice for it to sort of be a movement. So links on to my next question is, do you think somebody like Jake Paul is like a good thing or a bad thing for boxing?
Jake Paul, you know what? He's next to me on my social media. He's probably the guy who's mentioned most. We do a bit of fun. We have a t-shirt which says, in a world of Jake Pauls, be a Sugar Ray, right? Now you can either choose Sugar Ray Robinson, in my view, the greatest of all time, and I trained with him, or you can choose Sugar Ray Leonard, who is a superlative boxer in his day. Fantastic, exceptional. But Jake Paul, good on him, right? He's capitalizing on his massive following on social media. And why wouldn't you? But to pretend that you're a boxer is another thing, right? Now, he looks the part. He's boxed one boxer, Tommy Fury, and he lost. And all the other people that he's boxed have been UFC or that kind of genre. And he's beaten them, right? But that doesn't make him a good boxer. Doesn't make him remotely near some of the proper boxers that are around today. Because until we see him in the ring against these guys, we'll never really know how good he is. So Jake Paul, let him get on with his business. But let's not pretend he's a boxer. He isn't a boxer. He's a YouTube guy who's cashing in on what he's built. And, good luck to him. I think he's done a wonderful job in that respect. And he's chosen boxing. He's been very careful. He's never boxed a boxer other than Tommy Fury, and he lost that one. So I think Jake Paul should never be considered a boxer. There are guys around, proper professional boxers, who will be looking on and thinking, wow, look at me. I train in the gym 6 days a week. I give it my all. I go in for the sparring and all that stuff. And I look after my body. I sacrifice things for the sport I love. And this guy's going in and boxing against Joe Bloggs or this guy and making millions. Well, that's fine. But let's not. The TV companies have got a lot to blame for this. If you take the TV companies who buy into this, that's fine. They're in it for one reason. Jake Paul's in it for one reason. The promoter, whoever that might be, is in it for one reason. But I think that the public are being mugged. And what really worries me about this is that they don't realize they're being mugged. Or usually what you see after a Jake Paul fight are the complaints about his performance, or the performance more especially of his opponent. And they're thinking, why did I buy this? What a waste of money, what a waste of time. Well, the answer is in your wallet. Do not take your dollar bills out to pay for it. I'm not, it's very difficult for them because the hype is so great. If you take the Mike Tyson fight that's coming up with Jake Paul, then that's quite enticing because it's Mike Tyson. And because, can Mike Tyson still do it at 58 against a guy who's in his 30s, who's fit, but we don't know if he's any good as a boxer because he hasn't been tested. So that's these are the kind of grey areas, the questions everybody's asking, which will make them buy into it. And fine, that's all right, but let's not pretend Jake Paul's a boxer.
If you're like me and millions of other people, you probably lead a busy life, and that's where this stuff comes in absolutely clutch. I know that I just scoop, shake and go, and I'm ready for my day. There are other companies that are trying to do what Hule is trying to do, but they use cheap ingredients. Sometimes it requires you to take 15 pills, or preparing food, trusting supplements with subpar ingredients, and also taking 15 pills a day is just something that we don't all want to do. That's where Hule makes health possible. Black Edition has 40 grams of protein in, 26 vitamins and minerals, and every single ingredient inside this has been carefully selected by Hule's expert team. So you know you're getting the good stuff. Don't just take my word for it. Millions of other people around the world are now using Hule as part of their daily routine. People like Idris Elba, Stephen Bartlett from the Diary of a CEO, Hardest Geezer, the man who ran the entire length of Africa, was using this stuff. If you want to join the movement, go to the link down below where you can get a free t-shirt, a free shaker, and also if you subscribe to Hule, you can get 10% off every single order. This is next freaking level. Go get some.
Do you think it's that then that the blurred lines almost tarnishes the art, you know, the noble art? Is that a part of it?
I think all this stuff, the YouTubers, the UFC guys who've tried to transfer to boxing, in effect, the guys who are not boxers, who are now demanding huge fees and television rights and so on because of their appearance in a boxing ring, wearing boxing gloves and trying to be boxers. I think that has distilled the sport. Oh, big style. I think, and I think what's happened is that in the days when managers, promoters, coaches, boxers were real boxing people. They lived the sport, they lived for it. Now all that's changed because while in the great old days, 100,000 people would go and see Jack Dempsey in a football stadium or the New York Yankees stadium, baseball stadium, now you can get that by flicking on your TV set. Okay, you've got the big arenas, Saudi Arabia, for example, but there you are. I'm not convinced that, if you ask the question of the Saudi people in general, what do you think of the big fight that's coming up? They'll say, what big fight? There is no great interest in boxing in Saudi Arabia, but they've kind of turned the wheel on this, because they're now staging big promotions, and they're staging these promotions more often because they've got the money than people like Eddie Hearns or Frank Warren or Bob Arum in America. They're coming thick and fast, and they're quite rightly saying, well, if we're paying you a heap of money, we want you to fight in 3 months' time. And that's the way it used to be, of course. If you were a world champion, you were boxing every other month. And that's why they racked up huge numbers of fights. Sugar Ray Robinson, Joe Louis and all these guys, they were boxing every other month, sometimes every other week. I looked at a guy, Freddie Tennant, who was from my hometown in Dundee, who was a flyweight boxer, who gave his all. He was a crowd pleaser, right? So he would box sometimes, I counted up 9 times in a month. Right, and it wasn't unusual where he boxed 3 successive nights because he needed the money. The poverty was the big thing hanging over everybody's head. He needed extra money. So he'd box 3 times in successive nights. He would box 9 times in a fortnight. He would box 14 times in 3 weeks. He had 196 fights. It's incredible. Of course, you wouldn't get that now. Now it's all about the big guys. The Terence Crawfords and the Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, The heavyweights, the saying is that heavyweights get all the money and the wee men do all the fighting. And it's true, you know. So, you know, there are pros and cons for what's happening in boxing. But I think we've got to try and get the balance just right. And I wonder if it continues the way it's doing now, I wonder how long people are going to buy into boxing. Or are they going to say, oh, not another fight that we know is going to, you know, it's going to, how it's going to turn out. Or not another kind of press conference where, you know, somebody's upturning tables or shouting or sticking the head on somebody. We don't need that in boxing. Boxing should be clean of all that. It should be full of integrity and authenticity. And it's not at the moment.